I'm going to sing you a song I heard in the church by the old live oak cemetery. It's a very beautiful Negro spiritual, like hearing mourning doves flitting on the gravestone of my papa. Mama prefers I don't sing such songs because it's not appropriate to our Old Testament beliefs. She's not around, so I hope you like the song. I used to sing to my girlfriend. She lives catty-corner to me at Lamar Court. I didn't care who heard me serenading my girlfriend. It was like singing carols. Then war came, and my singing stopped. We don't have to run to a bomb shelter because the enemy east and west of us is too far away. I just have to watch for certain folks in town. Lots of folks here don't like us because my great-grandparents were from Germany. That can't be helped. The war has changed other things. We stopped eating my aunt's chocolate fudge cake because no sugar or flour is to be had. We conjure up memories of sweet things. General MacArthur is ending the war. I heard him on the radio, and he seems quite brave. Soon, all these soldiers south of us will be leaving the fort. Most have been nice to me on dates, except when they try not to be so nice. My aunt says she's never been on a date. I have heard otherwise, and it didn't work out so well. So I will try to keep to myself until the nice soldiers come back. I would prefer the unwounded. I don't know what will have happened to their hearts. There is one man I like somewhat. He is not a soldier. I took his picture with his camera, but he prefers to be in pictures than to have his picture taken. Lord, I have been in many of his shots with his Graflex. I like the ones with my holding a cigarette and blowing smoke in his face. I met him on campus in Birmingham. He has a condition that's keeping him out of service. Some people call the condition money. I thought it would keep him company, but because he clearly sees something in me, at least in his pictures. Every other man has wanted to fight the war. I see the General Pettus Bridge on the other side of the Alabama River. That general fought the Confederate War. How many times have I gone across that bridge on my way to Montgomery? The big debutante parties are still in Montgomery. I miss them. The war stopped decent things. At the parties, you had to act like a woman, but it was all play. Everyone knew that, but didn't say anything. One of those parties got my aunt into trouble. The parties are well catered. The hush puppies are very crisp and brown. When I look down on the water under the bridge, it's clear to the bottom, almost black on the bottom. I have no compunction walking across the bridge as long as everyone keeps to himself. No one in their right mind would walk across it in the pitch black. I think I am truly in love. The GIs are back. One I knew from high school came back whole. He's gone back to working his dad's hardware store. I think he will do. I'm so happy I could sing. The streets in town are busy now. The men and my men are back home to work and raise their families. I'm expecting big things. I'm looking out at the slow currents, and I hear the birds singing. She lived on the right side of the General Pettus Bridge. She did not know the future significance of the bridge, but she was one pale counterweight for what was to come. She, like the others, were living every day to make that one terrible and weighty March day, 1965, happen. When she was a young woman, she had the usual set of friends one would expect in this town. These friends hung close like chopped liver. She eschewed the older folk and played bridge with her friends. They sipped sweet tea and, as they got a little older, dragged on their cigarettes and played their hands. If they were inclined to brave the hot summer, not far from the bridge, they would jump the Alabama River and consume untold chunks of watermelon. She was content with her friends, but she forever schemed to get out of the clutches of her old maid aunt, who, in her day, was a good cook, but has since settled, suited in a cotton print, to cooking dinners at noon and suppers at 6. The niece refused to wear the white gloves of the older lady, yet she settled down with her aunt to watch Geritol commercials on the new TV. The aunt and the young lady were kind to the maid whom they brought over from Atlanta. As a young girl, the niece tried to get all sorts of attention. She sang old love ballads, Negro spirituals, and gospel she had heard wafting from the tenants in the plantations down the river. The young miss would hum a sweet tune over grits and eggs and skip away to the garden where the magnolias cooled the granite pavestones around the pinkish gazebo, where she played with her white pantalooned friends. Men took photos of her as she held her special place in society. Single, white, woman, young, wherever she was, small river hamlet to college town, wherever she chose to live, whatever her aunt thought of her, the niece held big city ideas on writing the stories of what men did in the world. The story she herself was in was the war. She read the letters of her old beaux who shipped from the base south of town. In the European theater, the beaux were blown to bits, immolated by flamethrowers, or tortured by their captors. She would later learn from her deafened husband that the war was the best of times and the worst of times. She read so many letters of misery and camaraderie and hope, she began to read between the lines and size up who would work out in her life upon their return. In her life, success was a writing career and enough money to not have to worry about having a roof over your head. For the time, hers was a universal calculus. She would speak her own abridged language, telegraphing her hopes into the future when, like the sound of a mourning dove, smooth and hopeful, she yearned for as good a life as she had as a young girl. Time would tell how life would turn out for her, far from the river town with the bridge that would be a lightning rod of shame. That lightning would never strike her. It would never cross her mind. We love each other so much. As sure as Café du Monde serves us a pile of beignets buried in powdered sugar, we will be together. This is the start of forever, honey. There is no point in time when it will be the end of us. From now on, everything we do is for love. We'll have a small wedding. We can invite your old soldier beau to the reception, the guy who plays clarinet and smells like Old Spice. We can talk Dorsey and Ellington. Maybe we'll jam. Jam, baby. Yeah. There's been enough talk about the war. I will invite my mother. She can take the train from Grand Central Station to New Orleans. My dad is still AWOL. I got nothing from him after I sent him the last telegram about our engagement. Ma was done with my dad years ago. It was just her and me, and I brought in the money working bars. And I'm done with Dad, done with him now. The women waiting for the men during the war, and the men waiting to get home to a new life. We will get our old jobs back, and the women and those other men doing the shipbuilding will have to go back to their old lives. You can never tell what lies ahead. Besides your old beau, you can invite the guy who always has his camera and pipe. He reminds me of a fellow I used to know who always had a camera. He couldn't go without it, like wearing his clothes. He took pictures of rocks and plants that I thought made no sense. If he doesn't have his camera, he says he might miss something. When he's in town, he has taken pictures of the old jazz players by the Café du Monde. I'd say keep your ears open. There's enough jazz on the streets to keep you going. That's where the future lies. It's in what you hear, not what you think you see. I believe he's the guy from your hometown. Your town is not what I would call a town. It's more like a village in France. People stick together. Well, the two types of people, depending on which side of the bridge you're on. Your home is a mixture of heaven and hell. Heaven is walking down the street and having people say good morning to you. Hell is walking down the same street and the town turns away from you. That's the town I'm taking you from. It's peaceful enough. People mind their own business until they think they can't. That's not how I treated people in Brooklyn when I was in the Tigers gang. That was mostly for fun. Let's not get into my life. We're talking about our lives until the end of time, baby. Over the last 3 years, MacArthur looked after us. We had to be on our best behavior. We followed his orders. If we followed his orders down to the sergeant, we were going to win the war. As he was looking out for us, I am now looking out for you. Yeah, go write for the papers, but remember, I'm supposed to take care of you. I won't be such a hard ass with you as the brass was with us. What counted was the mission. Sure, the Army cared about its men, but we had to do our mission. So let's not talk about the Army, the general. Let's keep our eyes on our own mission. You say we love each other, honey? I could certainly stay on at the importers for a while until we have kids. I have my own desk and quite the view from the International Trade Center building. My boss doesn't give me too much to do. Dictations are in the mornings, and typing is in the afternoons. I have to take the mail down to the mail room by 5, and there I see the other workers, if they're not out for a smoke. Some of the clerks said they were from my town, but of course, I never knew their families. We only had the one maid, who raised me since I was a little girl. But I don't want you treating me like a little girl. I want my own life. Do you hear me? I had a good life as a child. My father didn't do too much, but Mama and Papa had a chauffeur to take me wherever I wanted to go. I went to the movies a lot before we had to move away from Atlanta and make do with the income from Papa's mattress business in town. It didn't amount to peanuts. I got to make friends with all the Jewish girls in our new home on Lamar Court. We all had dreams. I wanted to be a crack reporter. I wrote poetry and took pictures of my friends. Half the time, my aunt didn't know where I was, but I knew well enough to stick to my own kind then and now. We will be so happy together. It's a new start for us.